I know America is only days away from creamsicle-colored Beelzebub taking over, so it seems like unfortunately war is inevitable. But do we have to overwhelm ourselves with war? We're starting this year with a blood war. Last year Marvel had a civil war. We even had a war in the stars. The point is, war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Listen to me. Except maybe cupcake wars. Those are delightful and delicious. Speaking of delightful and delicious, it's great to see Kate Beckinsale back in the franchise again. Yeah, she was in the last one, but it's nice that she continues it. It's nice that she continues the only role that I really respected her for, and it's very nice to see her, even at age 43, in skin-tight pleather. Good God, y'all! I will immediately apologize for objectifying a talented actress, but it does bring up an interesting point. This franchise, as sad as it may be at this point, is predominantly what she's known for. Not a lot of people have seen her in much else. So the fact is, while she's still kicking ass and I love this role for her, how much longer can this go on? So again, I ask in all sincerity, have you really seen her in anything else? More importantly, don't you want to? The vampire werewolf phase of Hollywood in the early 2000s is pretty much dead and gone. At least it will be officially staked when Vampire Diaries is off the air. But my point is, hasn't it all been done already? Especially within this franchise itself. How much more of this Underworld do we really need to see? I had even mentioned in the previous review of Underworld Awakening that this franchise really seems like a TV show. The films are too short and episodic to actually be feature films. In fact, the last two films have barely cracked an hour and a half. I'm pretty sure Peter Jackson has sneezes that last longer than that. Truth be told though, the hour and a half of Blood Wars did a lot more than the hour and a half in Awakenings. In fact, the only thing that film awakened was the massive plot holes within the story. Like, where was Michael? How did Celine get pregnant? And yeah, I don't remember much else from that film. Surprisingly, Blood Wars actually answered some of the questions in Awakenings, but to no surprise, it just brought up more questions. The answers that they gave were super convenient. The writing was lazy, or it seemed like it was shoehorned in to the point where the answers really didn't make any sense. Plus, it didn't answer the most important question. Why isn't Scott Speedman in this franchise anymore? Because again, I ask in all sincerity, have you really seen him in anything else? More importantly, seriously, have you seen him at all? Because I think his family is starting to worry at this point. And if you see Scott, bring him back into the franchise. Make him a worthwhile antagonist. There's a twist we wouldn't see, because unfortunately, it's been at least 2 films since we've had a worthwhile antagonist. In the last 2 films, the villains have been the very definition of generic. It made sense that director Anna Forster brought in Tobias Menzies from Outlander to play the new villain, because he's really good at playing a dick, at least on Outlander. But in Blood Wars, his Lycan leader Marius gave him absolutely nothing to work with, and really embodied the problems with this franchise. Last film in Awakenings, we got Quint, a super werewolf, because we needed somebody bigger and badder than William, the previous werewolf, who was already bigger and badder than the first werewolf. It's kind of a ladder, you see, a badder ladder. Marius in this film is once again bigger, badder, stronger, but there's a twist, and get ready for this. It's a huge spoiler. If you don't want to hear it, turn off the review. He's a hybrid. And how is he a hybrid? Even bigger spoiler coming up. He's responsible for Michael's death. He made a serum out of Michael's blood. I'm assuming your reaction is probably close to mine. Something along the lines of, huh? It doesn't make any sense from a plot or storytelling perspective. In fact, it's another huge plot hole. How did Marius even get a hold of Michael? Was he a part of the Antigen/Lycan company in Awakenings? The one that had Celine frozen and Eve held captive? And it especially doesn't make sense in the storytelling perspective, because this character, this generic villain who has maybe 25 minutes of screen time, is the guy who's responsible for Michael's death? This is exactly what I mean by shoehorning, trying to give this character meaning and importance. But he's not important. Much like the last 2 films in this franchise, he is unmemorable and episodic. It is a half-assed attempt to shoehorn him into the nemesis role, because otherwise Celine wouldn't even give him the time of day, and neither would the audience. And more importantly, Michael is killed in a flashback off screen. It is a sad mistreatment of one of the building blocks of your franchise, and it made me think, are you for real? Generic uber werewolves aren't the only sad trend growing in this once great franchise. Every Underworld film, we meet more and more vampires, and every time we do, we realize how douchey vampires are. Now, some of them are nice people, some of them are genuinely layered characters, but most of them are just spoiled brats, like the goth kids they undoubtedly stole their Hot Topic wardrobe from. All jokes aside, why did the franchise do that? Why did they make 90% of vampires greedy pseudo-oligarchs who will basically turn on anyone? And guess what? In Blood Wars, we meet not one, not two, but 3 dickish vampires who, of course, turn on our heroes. Believe it or not, there are some interesting moments in this film. My personal favorite, spoiler alert again, is when 2 characters with hybrid blood are basically wailing on each other with ineffectual gunfire that won't really kill either of them. It was kind of funny and cool, but only a little. Otherwise, I stick to what I said almost 5 years ago. This franchise is done. It's drawn out, it's redundant, and it's clear to me that the writers are completely out of ideas. And yet, they left the ending to this one open. So it's clear to me that they want to make another one. A 6th Underworld film. The good news is, Blood Wars is better than Awakenings. But the bad news is, it's still very much a burn it. Poll question, it's another yes or no. Have you seen Scott Speedman? As always, leave your answers in the comments section below. Be sure to subscribe to Real School, follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. Just click the link, and you can become a member of my Patreon team. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's hope it's not the last, but until next time, assuming there will be one, school's out.